My name is Ava, and if you're hearing this, it means I finally have the courage to tell the truth about my family. For years, I believed we were perfect, successful, respected, admired. But behind the elegant smiles and carefully arranged dinners was something dark, something that poisoned every bond we had. This is the story of how I discovered the betrayal that changed everything. It started one evening at our family estate. My father had gathered everyone for what he called an important announcement. I remember the tension in the air, my mother's forced smile, my brother's restless gaze, and the way the servants moved silently, as if afraid of what might happen. I didn't know it then, but that night would be the beginning of the end. As the candles flickered across the long dining table, my father stood up. His voice was calm, but his words cut deep. He spoke of inheritance, trust, and loyalty, and then his gaze landed on me. "Ava," he said slowly, "there are things you don't understand about this family." My chest tightened. I tried to read his expression, but it was unreadable, like he was hiding something behind layers of control. That night, I couldn't sleep. His words echoed in my head, refusing to fade. I went downstairs, drawn to the study where he kept all his private documents. The room smelled of old books and secrets. As I searched through his desk, my fingers brushed against a locked drawer. Using the small key I'd once found as a child, I opened it. Inside were letters, sealed envelopes, and photographs, all bearing my mother's handwriting, but none addressed to my father. My heart pounded as I opened the first letter. It wasn't love I found in those words. It was deception. My mother had been corresponding with someone for years, sharing details about our family business, our finances, even my father's health. And then one line shattered me completely. "Once he's gone, we'll finally have everything we deserve." The room spun. Betrayal isn't just a word. It's a knife that twists slowly, making you question everything you thought you knew. My hands trembled as I realized that the people I loved most were lying to each other, and maybe even to me. I needed to know who the letters were meant for, and why my mother had risked everything, so I did the only thing I could. I kept reading. Each letter was worse than the last. Mentions of secret accounts, coded messages, and a plan that was already in motion. I found a photograph of my mother standing beside a man I didn't recognize, younger, confident, and wearing a watch I'd seen before. My brother's watch. The realization hit me like ice water. The betrayal wasn't between my parents, it was within all of us. That night, I hid the letters and photographs in my room. I couldn't confront them yet, not without proof of what was really happening. But deep down, I knew something dangerous was unraveling. My family wasn't built on love. It was built on lies. And I had just started pulling the first thread. The next morning, the house felt heavier, like it knew what I had discovered. My mother's voice echoed down the hallway as she called for breakfast, her tone sweet, practiced, hollow. I sat at the table, pretending everything was normal, while my mind replayed the words from her letters. Every smile she gave me now felt calculated. Every glance my brother exchanged with her seemed like a secret conversation I wasn't meant to hear. After breakfast, I slipped away to the garden, the only place where I could think clearly. I unfolded one of the letters again, tracing my mother's handwriting with my thumb. The man's name appeared halfway down the page. Daniel Whitmore, my uncle, my father's younger brother, a man I hadn't seen in years. The betrayal was worse than I thought. This wasn't just deceit, it was treason within the bloodline. I needed answers. That afternoon, I drove to my uncle's old office downtown. The building was empty, the air thick with dust and silence. As I searched through drawers and filing cabinets, I found records, bank statements, property deeds, offshore accounts. Everything was connected to my family's name, yet hidden under Daniel's signature. My mother had helped him siphon money for years, right under my father's nose. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind me. I froze, my heart racing. Turning slowly, I saw my brother, Liam, standing in the doorway. His expression was unreadable. "You shouldn't be here, Ava," he said quietly. My breath caught in my throat. How did he know where I was? And worse, was he part of it? You knew, I whispered. You knew about Mom and Uncle Daniel. He didn't deny it. Instead, he stepped closer, lowering his voice. It's not what you think, he said. Dad isn't the man you believe he is. He started all of this. His words felt like another betrayal layered over the first. I wanted to believe him, but everything in me screamed that no one could be trusted anymore. Liam's phone buzzed, breaking the tension. He glanced at the screen, then back at me. You need to leave, he said sharply. Now. Without another word, he turned and disappeared into the shadows of the corridor. My mind spun with questions. Why was he protecting me, or was he simply protecting himself? I left the office and sat in my car, staring at the documents in my hands. My family wasn't just keeping secrets, they were at war with each other. Betrayal had become our inheritance, passed down like jewelry no one wanted to wear. I didn't know who to believe anymore, but I knew one thing. If I didn't uncover the truth soon, it might destroy all of us. That night, I hid the documents in my closet and stared out my bedroom window. The house glowed softly under the moonlight, peaceful and deceitful all at once. Somewhere inside, my parents and brother were playing their parts in a drama that was quickly unraveling. And me? I was the only one who could rewrite the ending or burn it all to the ground. The next few days felt like walking on broken glass. Every conversation at home carried hidden meanings. Every look was a silent threat. My father seemed restless, my mother too composed, and Liam, he avoided me completely. I could feel the walls closing in, the weight of what I knew pressing down on me. Still, I couldn't stop. I had to find out how deep the betrayal went. Late one night, I heard muffled voices coming from the study downstairs. I moved quietly, my bare feet making no sound on the marble floor. The door was slightly open, and through the crack, I saw my parents arguing. My mother's voice trembled with anger. If she finds out, everything will fall apart. My father's reply was cold, steady. Then keep her out of it. She doesn't need to know what happened 20 years ago. 20 years ago? The words echoed in my head. I wasn't even born then. What could they possibly be hiding that long? I stepped back before they could notice me, my pulse racing. The truth wasn't just about my mother's affair or the money. It was something older, something that started before me. The next day, I drove to the old family archive in the west wing of the house, a place no one visited anymore. The air was stale, the room dimly lit. Rows of boxes covered in dust lined the walls. I pulled one down, labeled 1998. Inside were legal papers, medical records, and a single black and white photo. My father, younger, standing beside Daniel, both smiling, and my mother standing just a little too close to Daniel. Behind them, something caught my eye. A small child, no older than 2, sitting on Daniel's lap. A child that looked eerily like Liam. My breath caught. Could it be? Was my brother even my father's son? I dug deeper through the papers, searching for anything to confirm it. Then I found it. A birth certificate, partially burned, edges charred, but the names were clear. Mother, Evelyn Whitmore. Father, Daniel Whitmore. Child, Liam Whitmore. My world tilted. I sank to the floor, my hands shaking. Everything made sense now. The secrecy, the letters, the way my father looked at Liam sometimes like he was a stranger. My mother's affair wasn't a reason to fear. It was the foundation of our entire family. And my father had known all along. I stuffed the papers into my bag and ran upstairs to my room. I needed to think, to breathe, to plan. But before I could lock the door, I heard footsteps behind me. Liam stood there, eyes dark, voice low. You found it, didn't you? I didn't answer. He stepped closer. You don't understand, Ava. You're about to ruin everything. I looked at him, my brother, my blood, or maybe not. Everything was already ruined. You just didn't notice when it happened. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe? Fear? Then he turned and left, without another word. That night, I couldn't sleep. The truth had changed everything.
But it wasn't the end. It was just another beginning. My family wasn't falling apart. It was being revealed for what it truly was, a web of lies held together by fear and greed. And I was the only one still standing in the center of it.
Finale. The morning after discovering the truth, I woke up with a single thought. It was time to end this. No more lies, no more pretending. My family had lived in the shadows for too long, and if no one else would drag the truth into the light, I would, even if it meant burning everything down. I called everyone to the Great Hall, the same place where my father had once stood to announce his precious family matters. The air was thick, the silence sharp. My father sat at the head of the table, his eyes cold and expectant. My mother avoided my gaze, while Liam stood behind her, arms crossed, expression unreadable. I placed the papers on the table, the letters, the photo, the birth certificate, and looked straight at them. "It's over," I said. "I know everything." My mother's face paled, her lips trembling. My father leaned forward, his jaw tight. "You think you've uncovered the truth, but you've only scratched the surface." His voice carried something between anger and exhaustion. For a moment, I almost saw guilt. Almost. "Then tell me," I demanded. "Tell me what I don't know." He stood slowly, his eyes fixed on me. "Your mother betrayed me, yes. She broke everything we built. But you think she did it alone?" He turned his gaze toward Liam. "He helped her. He always knew." "Stop it," my mother cried, her voice breaking. "You don't understand. I did it to protect us." But her words rang hollow. I could see it in her eyes. The fear, the guilt, the realization that there was no saving this anymore. Liam stepped forward, his hands trembling. "I didn't ask to be part of this. I didn't even know until I was old enough to see how different I was." He turned to my father, voice cracking. "You knew I wasn't yours. You punished me for it every day." The silence that followed was deafening. My father's expression softened for just a second, then hardened again. "You are both my blood," he said coldly, "even if not by name." And with that, decades of pain spilled out into the open. Accusations, tears, truths too heavy to carry. My mother sobbed, Liam shouted, my father turned away. I just stood there, watching the family I thought I knew crumble right in front of me. When the shouting finally stopped, I spoke. "You all destroyed each other trying to protect a lie, but I won't carry it anymore. This ends with me." I gathered the documents, walked to the fireplace, and threw them in. The flames devoured everything, the proof, the secrets, the years of deceit. My father didn't stop me. My mother sank to the floor, whispering apologies that came too late. Liam looked at me one last time, a mix of relief and sorrow in his eyes. "What now?" he asked quietly. "Now," I said, watching the last paper turn to ash, "we start over. Or we walk away. But the truth dies here." As I left the room, the fire still burning behind me, I felt lighter. The house that once felt like a prison was just walls and ashes. The truth had cost us everything, our wealth, our legacy, our illusion of perfection. But for the first time, it was ours. The truth was ours. I am Ava Whitmore, and this is how my family fell apart. Not because of betrayal, but because of the truth we were too afraid to face.